Presence is creeping through theaters right now and receiving low box office returns. But is the movie actually any good, or is it just 90 minutes of a virtual house tour? Well, stick around and I will let you know my takes. Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Sean Morgan and I love movies. I also love horror movies specifically, so I was highly anticipating Presence. It was probably in my top 10 most anticipated films of this year. I think technically it's a 2024 release, but it did not get a wide release until 2025. And, right up front, I will tell you that I do not think it disappointed me personally in any way. The film is about a family who moves into a new house that is haunted by a presence, and it catalogs their mental states as they deal with this fact. However, the film is told from the perspective of the ghost. That is the major selling point here. The POV of the camera is from the first person of the entity or the titular presence, if you will. So it moves in a very dynamic way and is constantly observing scenes and moments from corners of rooms or gets really up close and personal to characters' faces. It's a stylistic choice that I might have felt too gimmicky. In certain other contexts, but here I think it really, really works. Why does it work so well for me? Well, let's talk bit about the talent involved with this feature. The film was written by David Koepp, one of the most prolific screenwriters in Hollywood. He wrote the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man film. He wrote the first Jurassic Park film. Yes, that Jurassic Park, not Jurassic World. He wrote the first Mission Impossible. He wrote Death Becomes Her and, many other classic films throughout the decades. And the film was directed by the arguably even more prolific Steven Soderbergh. Soderbergh's credits are staggering in number compared to some of his contemporaries. He directed Logan Lucky, Magic Mike, Haywire, the George Clooney Ocean's 11 trilogy, and tons of other things that you have probably seen if you have watched any films ever. Presence stars Lucy Liu, Chris Sullivan, Kalina Liang, Eddie Madej, West Mulholland, and a few others here and there. Julia Fox, for example, appears in the film's opening sequence as a frazzled realtor. The standout performance for me here is Chris Sullivan as the patriarch of the family, also named Chris. Sullivan is best known for This Is Us, which I have never seen, but he is absolutely fantastic here. In a world where Academy Award categories get more slots past the usual five, I would absolutely argue that Sullivan is one of the best supporting performances of 2024. He also gets bonus points from me personally for his role as Taserface in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I love those movies, so anyone in them gets bonus points from me for basically forever. He's under a lot of makeup there, but I still think he's very funny. I could reasonably see why, a broad audience maybe might not connect with Presence, to be totally fair. There is not a lot of super scary or violent content throughout the film in the way that something from the Conjuring universe might have, and or in the way that, a Blumhouse movie might pepper in jump scares. Other horror movies of this similar ilk might load it with tons and tons of side characters to kill in order to satiate an audience bloodlust, and those are all perfectly fine and reasonable to want from your horror movie. This film, however, is very focused on atmosphere. Presence is very focused on the interplay between the main characters. The vibe is not that of a slasher or of an amusement park kind of horror night. It's mainly about unsettling atmosphere and methodical unraveling of the story at hand. For me, that totally worked. If you walked out of the theater and you were bummed because you felt like you were on a virtual house tour for 90 minutes, I cannot invalidate your opinion, but I do think that there is much more to this movie than just that kind of stylistic aspect. Unfortunately, this film does not seem to be doing very large numbers at the box office. However, it also did not cost very much to make. Horror movies are famously cheap to produce and have great return on investment. People like to go see them. But even in the realm of horror, the budget for Presence seems pretty tiny. I believe the reported budget is around $2 million, and the film at the time of this recording has grossed just over $4 million. Typically, a film needs to double its budget at the box office to be considered profitable in the theatrical window. This is because movies typically have other costs after completion, such as marketing. So, yes, while $4 million seems like a horrible and dismal gross for any other widely released film, if this were a superhero movie grossing $4 million at the box office in one weekend, we would be raising tons and tons of alarms. But this title was made for pennies in the grand scheme of Hollywood, and it already seems to be turning a little bit of a profit. So it's not a total loss for the the presence defender out there who really wants this to do well at the box office. And I also have to praise the film for a twist at the end that I will not spoil, but that I frankly did not see coming for the majority of the runtime. I see many films, so I consider myself pretty good at predicting twists, but Presence kind of knocked me for a little bit of a loop and pulled off a reveal that I was not super anticipating, if I'm being honest. And in retrospect, the clues and breadcrumbs for this reveal, they were all there given certain dialogue about characters' various arcs and where they were at versus where they needed to grow and change in terms of their mental and emotional states. Certain lines of dialogue in retrospect seem like a lot more foreshadowy than I guess I took them to be in the moment. Um, but before the actual kind of quote unquote twist happens, I had locked in my prediction as to the identity of the titular presence, and it was pretty different from what we actually received once the movie concluded. um, I have saved my comments about Lucy Liu, the other kind of big named actor, for the end of this review as well, since most of her big kind of flashy moments come towards the end of the movie, and I did not want to allude to anything spoiler related until closer to the end of this video. I'm still not going to spoil anything major. I just want to say that Lucy Liu is terrific here as well. There is a moment in the last scene where she delivers this kind of animalistic, horrific yell, and it genuinely left me sort of clutching my chest and feeling the terror of the moment with her. It's nice to see her like be in a movie that is asking something interesting of her, as opposed to some of her other work lately. I know she does TV here and there that I haven't seen, but for example, she is in Shazam 2, Shazam Fury of the Gods, I believe it's called. And while I like the Shazam movies fine, she seems like she's kind of sleepwalking through that. And she's kind of sleepwalking through Red 1, another recent release. So I was really, really happy to see Lucy Liu kind of bite into something pretty meaty here. I've always kind of liked her. Uh, you know, it should also be briefly mentioned. It's hard to find a segue into this subject matter, but it should be briefly mentioned for anyone kind of sensitive to certain issues that there are themes throughout this film regarding uh, drugging unsuspecting people and attempted SA. So if you are sensitive to topics like that, I do feel it may be worth knowing that fact before walking into your local cinema and sitting down for what you think is a haunted house picture. Um, you know, just wanted to put that out there. So, where does Presence rank on my scale of A list, amazing, average, abysmal, or needs to be abolished? This film is definitely amazing as far as my personal scale goes. I was looking forward to it since the first time I saw the trailers, and it totally delivered on expectations. I think any horror movie that successfully kind of switches up formulas and tropes is very welcome in my eyes, given that I do see a lot of horror movies. I highly suggest that horror nerds check this one out, either in a theater or when it arrives on streaming services. I saw this as part of an experiment where I see as many movies with AMC A list as possible in a single year. I saw this movie in the Dolby format, so I saved a whopping $17.99, which I think is more than agreeable for how much I ended up enjoying the final film. It is not a super long film, so if you're someone who only bases purchasing a ticket with your real money uh, on, bang for your buck in terms of runtime, maybe this is not the film for you. But I had a great time with it. I don't quite know. There is some interesting sound design, so I do think the Dolby format did turn out to be worth it. I don't know for how much longer it will be playing in Dolby theaters. I think the next film that is kind of snapping up a bunch of Dolby screens is the animated film Dogman. I guess Dogman is more important than this horror movie about grief and suffering, which that's fine. Animated movies do gangbusters a lot of the times. So, and maybe Dogman will be funny. Who knows? But did you see Presence? If you did, what did you think about it? Tell me if you would like. Also, what your favorite haunted house movie is, or what your favorite sort of experimental horror film is. I'm thinking of things like The Blair Witch Project, or Paranormal Activity, or Creep, something along those lines. But feel free to also like this video or subscribe to the channel or do both of those things or neither of those things. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe. Until next time, do not let anyone in your house be seeing visions of ghosts that then lead to one or more people dying. Uh, I really almost spoiled the entire movie there after saying I wasn't going to spoil it. I don't think I did. I don't think I did. Anyway, thank you very much. Stay safe. Bye.